evening. Welcome, Bande Matram. So this evening we are going to discuss on great men. So really the caption of the topic we are going to discuss, the caption will be on human greatness. That is a great topic, and it is of course we will take the discussion. We will put forward this discussion from Sri Aurobindo and his original writings. We will see how this human greatness prevails throughout the years, throughout the centuries, and throughout the yugas also, not only in the eastern side but also in western side. What really we mean by the term, the great term, that is on human greatness. So already we have listened the thing, and we know Sri Aurobindo quotes in two important lines. Sri Aurobindo quotes on the great men and of course on greatness. Most great men know perfectly well that they are great. Most great men know perfectly well that they are great. It is not to indulge anything, not to invoke anything, not to whisper something or like something we are raising them up, nothing like this. Truly those great men name, they know perfectly well that they are great. And again about their greatness, here in the quotes interestingly, man's greatness is not in what he really is. Man's greatness is not what in he really is, but actually where the greatness really stays in what he makes possible. That is what the criteria, that is what the topic, what really he can make possible. So people in two ways they are great. One is bornly great, another is achievably great. So suppose somebody belongs to the son of a prime minister, a son of a president. So naturally, like George Bush and all Bush Junior, like this, it is coming in many ways. But see, just imagine achievably great. You can see Lincoln, Abraham Lincoln. His father was just a shoemaker. So in India also we can see family like family belonging to Nehru, like Indira Gandhi, Rajiv Gandhi, and all. So they are bornly great, only born with a silver spoon. But what about Mr. Modi? Is just his father was a chai seller, tea seller in a railway station, in a small railway station. Just imagine how it is achievably great. So the man's greatness is not in what he is, but what he makes possible. That is what. It is already the alchemy, the history is created by him, the alchemy is done by him, performed by him. If greatness is not appreciated by men, but actually Sri Aurobindo questions us, if the greatness is not appreciated by man, then the world will become mean, small, dull, narrow, and tamasic. So it has to be appreciated, but it should not be swelled. It must not be misinterpreted. Simply, it must not be sloganed. So it must be appreciated in a proper way. Other, if it is not appreciated by men, the world will become mean, small, dull, narrow, and tamasic. Five terms here Aurobindo uses. If their greatness is not appreciated by man, so this world will be number one mean, number two small, number three dull, number four narrow, and finally at number five it is tamasic. So we are going to the next point of discussion. Already know Sri Aurobindo quotes, the great are strongest when they stand alone. When they stand alone, they become strongest. Great are strongest when they stand alone. A God-given might of being is their only strength. That is what the point of discussion and point of course, elevation that has to be. The God-given might of being is their only strength. Then they become strongest. That is the point of attachment, point of attraction here. So anyway, but thing is that they must be great. Otherwise, simply they will vanish up. Suppose you don't have the courage, but you want to fight with the one of the biggest power of the world or somebody, then likely you will vanish, like Iraq war against your US America. So what about this Saddam Hussein perished? That is what. Again, we'll read Sri Aurobindo how he defines the greatness. Of course, the topic of discussion, the caption is on human greatness. So initially, we'll discuss it in two parts. One is greatness. Second comes the greatness and vices. So in two parts, we are trying to convert and change the topic and discuss the topic on differentiating into two parts. Number one, greatness. Why should the divine not care for the outer greatness? Here in the quotes, and this is the question. Why should the divine not care for the outer greatness? Two greatness is there. One is inner greatness, another is outer greatness. Outer greatness normally appreciated. Inner greatness you feel, you realize. But thing is that most of the time, in most scenario, these are of course on inappreciated. So they don't know the inner greatness. He cares for everything in the universe. The divine cares for everything in the universe. All greatnesses are vibhutis of the divine, says Gita. All greatnesses are vibhutis of the divine, as described, explained in Gita by Sri Krishna to his disciple and a friend and a relative Arjun. Second, here in the quotes, obviously, outer greatness are not the aim of yoga. Outer greatness, success is not our goal. We need perfection. So outer greatness is not the aim of yoga. But this is not that is not the reason why one should not recognize the part played by the greatness in order of the universe. Still, in the very interestingly, but outer greatness is not the aim of yoga. It is quite clear. It is a very beautiful message by Sri Aurobindo. But that is no reason why one should not recognize the part played. Why one should not, if think, okay, we are in the inner consciousness, we are in the upper consciousness. So for us success is not goal, outer greatness is not the aim of yoga. But if something is there, we must come, we must appreciate it. So part played by the greatness in order to, of the universe, or place of the great men of action, great poets and artists. If they have created, if they have been, if they have run, climbed up, naturally we will see their greatness, we will appreciate it. But it is not the aim of our yoga. Again, people here in the quotes, people have begun to try to prove that great men were not great, and which is very big mistake. They are really great men, they are scholars, poets, scientists and all. But thing is that they are interested, they are critics, severe critics. They are having, producing, and of course proclaiming severe criticism. They are passing severe criticism. It is not expected. That's what we have discussed in the initial part, chapter, initial message of the master. If greatness is not appreciated by men, the world will become mean, small, dull, narrow and tamasic. Again, here in the course, by greatness it is meant that exceptional capacity of one kind or another which makes a man eminent among his fellows. Makes a man eminent among the fellows. That's what. There is some jealousy it develops. There is some anger. There is some vital impetus we can feel. But thing is that greatness is meant the exceptional capacity of one kind or another. Exceptional capacity of one kind or another, which makes a man eminent among the fellows. Many are there. They are simply moving or living in the ordinary life, living the ordinary conception. But thing is that someone is actually rising up. It must be appreciated because of his exceptional qualities, capacity. Against here in the courts, that kind of greatness, like scientific, literary, and political. Already we have discussed. Scientific, literary, and political are nothing to do in the with the psychic. These are all the vital things or something, or a higher mental, higher, we can see, but nothing to do with the psychic. It consists of a special mental capacity. Consists of a special mental capacity. Example comes your Raman and Tagore, or in a great vital force which enables them to lead man and dominate them. That is the tendency. It comes from the vital or sometimes in the mental category. But actually, with these capacities and abilities, they try to. It enables them to lead and dominate them. These faculties are often, but not always, accompanied by something in the personality of the Devik or Asurik. There is Deva, Daivik or Asurik, which supports their action and gives to men an impression of greatness apart from their special capacity. Zor jar mulaktar, might is right. So Asurik or Daivik, that way it is gone. The impression gives the impression of greatness apart from their special quality, the sense of greater personality. Again, Most men know perfectly well that they are great. Already sure we have quoted and we know, we have seen, this is the most men perfectly know that they are perfectly great. If the power of them great men, that is great, and the power comes to from the divine. Really the true power comes to the great men through from the divine. By their actions and greatness they help the world, and with this power of the divine that is descending upon them, they actually help the world, and and aid the cosmic purpose. So it does not matter whether they have ego or not, just forget, because this power is descending through them, and with this power, with this energy, they are energizing the society, helping the world, and aid the cosmic purpose. They are not, even if they are not doing the yoga, so it must be appreciated. But thing is that it must be conscious thing. So if a man rises to a higher plane of consciousness, that is what Sri Aurobindo quotes in the point of time, of course, in the course of discussion. If a man rises higher to a higher plane of consciousness, it does not necessarily follow that he will be a greater man of action. Higher state of consciousness, if he is if elevated, it does not necessarily follow that he will be a greater man of action or a greater creator. There is no relation, unrelated. One may rise to a spiritual plane of inspiration undreamed by undreamed by Shakespeare, and yes, yet not to be a great poetic creator as Shakespeare. So it sometimes happen, as we have seen the case of Shakespeare. Greatness is not object of spiritual realization. Very big words here told by our master. Greatness is not the object of spiritual realization anymore than fame or success in the world. It is not expected because we need perfection, so it is not at all expected or not at all encouraged by the master. How are these things the standard of spiritual realization? It actually it hinders, it has no value. So will appreciate it, but thing is that spiritualism is completely different. It is related to psychic, but things are of the greatness many times vital or mental level, it is emerging out of it. So of course, the yoga without being great, that is the point of discussion. You can do yoga without being great. There is no need of being great. No need of being great. On the contrary, humility is the first necessity. Not to, necessarily you have to be become great to in order to make the yoga. It is baseless thinking. So, but the thing is that on contrary, humility is the first necessity for one who has ego or pride, and pride can't realize the highest. So it has pride, ego, and vitality. It has got no place in divine realization, the realizing the highest. Again, each one can truly be great in the measure in which he feels, and opens the source of all greatness to the divine. So thing is that everything, whatever the power, energy, whatever is achieved and gained, that is from the divine only. So that must be appreciated and it must be submitted at the divine. Again, the part two we are going, greatness and vices. Suppose somebody is gaining some greatness, being great, then how this virtue and vice plays its role some in his life. That is what Sri Aurobindo has quoted. It is not the very three times Sri Aurobindo using very big people who are of importance to the divine. So then all energy, strong capacity, power of effectuation are of more importance. Three things. It is not the only very big people who are of importance to the divine. Naturally, very important prime minister, something like UNO chief, does not matter for the divine at all. Then what really impacts and of course pulls, attracts to the divine? All energy, second, strong capacity, third, power of effectuation are of importance. Then here in the course of couple of people like Napoleon, Caesar, and Shakespeare. Not one of them were virtuous men during the course. We have seen great people, Napoleon, Julius Caesar, and Shakespeare. But they are not virtuous during the course. But they were great men. Definitely, there is no doubt of it. But not virtuous. That was your contention. Virtuous men are great men, and those who have vices are not great, which is absurd contention. So you feel this only virtuous men are great, And second category, vices are not, with vices is not great. It is a absurd contempt. Then Sri Aurobindo quotes all of them. All of them went after women, Caesar, Napoleon, and Shakespeare. Two were ambitious and unscrupulous. Napoleon was most arrogant and violent. They were great, all-time great. There is no doubt of it. But thing is that Sri Aurobindo, while quoting Caesar, Napoleon, Caesar, and Shakespeare, Sri Aurobindo quotes all of them went after women. That instinct was there. Two were ambitious. Third, and unscrupulous. Napoleon was most arrogant and violent. Again, Shakespeare stole deer. That just to see how this black spot with these people, great men. Shakespeare stole deer. Napoleon lied freely. Caesar was without scruples. That was the great men, but having a big vices with them. Again, Sri Aurobindo goes on explaining. But do you really believe that men like Napoleon, Caesar, and Shakespeare were not great men and did nothing for the world or for the cosmic purpose? They did. They were great, and they were also in own merit. They have touched the peak. But still, that the God was deterred from using them for his purpose, because they had defects in character and vices. What is the singular idea? They had their defects, they had their vices with them, defects of character and vices. Still, then we appreciate and feel they are great. Why should the divine care about the vices of great men? Sridharanda asked the question. Why should the divine care about the vices of the great men? Is he a policeman? Asking question by master. Asked question, the master is asking, is he a policeman, so that he will take care about the vices of the great men? So long as one in his ordinary nature, one has qualities and defects, virtues and vices, so far they are actually contributed and connected to the ordinary nature. They have got their qualities and defects, and of course virtues and vices. When one goes beyond, when you have gone beyond, you have crossed the limit, then no virtues and vices for these things don't belong to these are not belonging to the divine nature. So these are all, of course, they are having greatness, but actually in the ordinary human tendency, human nature. Yes, certainly. Many great men even have often very great vices, and many of them, great men, are not usually model characters. They are great, they have greatness, but they have vices and not at all model characters. Great men have more energy, and energy come out what we call vices as well as what we call men men what men call virtues. But thing is that this force is coming, and with this energy they try to elevate and they try to gain. Men with great capacities or powerful mind or powerful vital. Three ways. Men having great capacities. Second, powerful mind. Third, powerful vital have very often more glaring defects in the character we have never seen, because of this greatness which actually fails them and protects them, which shields them rather, character than the ordinary men, or at least defects of the latter don't show so much like themselves smaller in scale. So because they are great, so naturally they are everything is actually forgotten. Actually, it has been mispronounced, unpronounced, unfelt, unmarked like this. So on behind the veil, they come and they of course act, but thing is remains unprecedentedly in and unmarked and unfelt, and it remains invisible. Again, great or dazzling, small in their field. Ambition is ambition anyway, great or dazzling or small in their field. Ambition is ambition, no doubt of it. It is necessary for most of the energetic action. What is the use of calling a thing a vice when it is small and glorying it when it is big? Because vice is vice, it must be taken care of. Anyway, so we have seen something like from the great discussion by master. Now itself we will answer, we will read few lines from Savitri, how it works really. Here in the quotes here, Whoever is too great must lonely live. Adored he walks in mighty solitude. That is the only way, because nobody will come up and approach you. His only comrade is the strength within. Thus was it for a while with a Savitri. All worshipped marvelingly, none dared to claim. Her mind sat high, pouring its golden beams. But it was because this earth is not prepared. People who came to her were actually unprepared, worshipped marvelingly, took her at the goddess. But actually, Savitri's heart was like vast. She thought these people will come up to his statue, but thing is, all her efforts failed and in vain. Her heart was a crowded temple of delight, a single lamp lit in perfection's house. Where she was, her heart, everything was perfection, and a single lamp lit in the perfection's house. A bright, pure image in peaceless shrine, midst those encircling lives, her spirit dwelled, apart in herself until her hour of fate, because their life is lonely, and definitely it is there. Too great was her demand, too pure her force. So this was the scenario. They all came to her, but none could be touched. They were approached, were touched, caught fire, then fell. Because this is the human tendency. They want to worship, but they don't know, and they have forgotten. They are really the gods, and men are gods hiding behind. Their divinity is hidden. Their own purpose actually it is unfulfilled, and they have forgotten their own purpose and of course their own idea. So this is the own identity they have forgotten, simply moving here like a subhuman or vile, forgetting they are divine. The seed of Godhead lurks in us. Thank you. Vande Mataram.